I'd like to call to order the March 25th, 2025 Transportation Authority Calhoun County Board meeting. Matt, would you do a roll call, please? Or Amy, one or the other, or whoever's ready?
Yes. Janasia?
Here.
Amy?
Here.
Dr. Watson? Here.
Hi.
Tom Hartwitz? Here. Maya Williams?
Here.
Eric Stewart? Vivian Diggs?
We do have a quorum. And through Teams or Zoom, we got Vivian and Eric and do we have Clark and Peter, I think, our consultants. So good morning to all of you that are in warm Florida or wherever you're at. So first thing we need to do is do approval of the agenda. I'd like to add one thing to the agenda is my sheet here. Morning, Eric. Closed session at the end of the meeting under Section 8C of the Open Meetings Act for strategy related to negotiation of a collective bargaining agreement. So if we could do that, probably 13 would be the good spot to do that. So we'll have closed session at that point and we'll go through that process when we get there. Any other changes to the agenda?
I have a quick question. Are we gonna have any action after that closed session?
No, we would planning no action after. So we'd probably come out of closed session and then adjourn the meeting. Good point. Thank you.
I move for the approval of the agenda with changes added. Second.
We have a motion by Janasia, second by Amy. All in favor of approving the agenda, say aye.
Aye.
Next, we have the approval of our minutes from the March 11th meeting. Any changes that need to be made? If not, I'll accept the motion.
So moved.
Second, Watson.
All right, we have a motion by Amy and a second by Paul. All in favor of approving the minutes, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Okay, public comments on agenda items. Is there any public comments on the agenda items? Moving on from there. There's nothing on the consent agenda. We have our finance and budget report that was handed out to us and also emailed. Amy, would you like to have anything on the high points?
Yes, it's my understanding that we have all payments from at least 3 of the 4. The 4th one I'm waiting to hear from, whether the last payment received on March 17th is their final or if there will be any more. So I guess that's the high point on the finance and budget report. And then on the accounts receivable and payable to date, I note that we've received 94% of what was anticipated, leaving 6% or nearly 300,000. So I'm not sure if there's something I need to do, like to follow up with the communities, or if that's, in part potentially if the one hasn't sent their last payment, or if, some people just haven't paid their taxes, if that's, part of that. I just thought I should bring it up and see if there's anything I should do.
It might be worth checking with each of the communities to see if they've made the final payments.
They have, 3 of them have told me they did.
That's the final payment.
Yeah.
And we can compare our estimated number probably with the county's equalization office
Okay.
to make sure we have the right estimated number.
Okay. Sounds good.
All right. Have we been making motions to approve the finance and budget report? Would you like one?
We did last time.
Okay, so first of all, if there's any questions for Amy on her report, thank you for doing all this.
Sure, you're welcome.
We didn't approve it, we accepted. We
Right.
motioned to
Yeah.
accept.
So
I'll make the motion to accept it.
Support.
all in favor of accepting the Budget and finance report, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Accepted. No public hearings, no unfinished business, new business. I'm assuming Mallory, you gonna do that?
So at our last meeting, you guys had asked us to brainstorm and come back to you with some possible scenarios for service expansion to cover the Albion area. Talking with Matt and Christy about our current resources, we see it feasible to potentially have a goal date of June 1 to be able to provide expanded service to Albion with at least one vehicle operating on the BC Go platform. So we would zone a vehicle specifically to Albion, utilizing the capital grants and operating funds that are already obligated through the state, through MDOT as part of our BC Go pilot. So we have that grant for 4 vehicles. Estimated delivery is 6 to 8 weeks after the order, depending on the type of vehicle that it is. We also anticipate receiving 4 more vehicles that are replacing some vehicles in our fleet to be on the road sometime in May. With that lead time and hiring an additional driver to cover that service, we're aiming for a June 1st date to be able to provide the dedicated service to Albion. So currently, as is feasible, we have some service available to the city of Albion through BC Go, but it isn't dedicated to Albion. So the vehicle is equally available to Battle Creek as it is to Albion, and Battle Creek tends to dominate that service just because of the population density and the demand. So our proposal would be that using the operating and capital funds that are already available through the end of this fiscal year, provide dedicated service to Albion using BC Go.
And would that be, that Albion dedicated service, would that be based out of Battle Creek or Marshall?
It would be based out of Battle Creek right now.
Okay.
So in discussions with Matt, he doesn't have the staff resources at the moment to be able to expand service into Albion. Vehicles aren't necessarily the issue, it's staff. And, you know, in the past, we've talked about, is there an opportunity for an agreement between the city of Battle Creek and the city of Marshall for a Battle Creek employee to operate a Marshall vehicle or vice versa? So for example, if we took that additional BC Go vehicle and stationed it here in Marshall, and Matt was able to hire a driver to drive that, but that would require some sort of liability agreement between the two cities.
So has any thought been put in, June 1st is off a couple months, but it's going to fly by quickly here. Would they use the Albion Marshall connector number? Would they use BC Go, or are we going to have a separate number for Ride Calhoun?
As of right now, there is no separate number for Ride Calhoun. That could be a task for the marketing firm when you award that. The current way that it would work would be they could use the BC Go app to request the ride, or they could call the Battle Creek Transit number and book the ride directly over the phone.
Okay.
Most of our BC Go users use the app.
And that will give, just because we're being recorded, and this would give door-to-door service anywhere, Albion to Albion, anywhere within the city limits. Okay.
Yes.
Okay. Any questions for Mallory? I'm going to turn, if there's, Vivian, do you have any questions?
Yes, I would like to ask, what is the amount of time that is usually required for for training?
For staff?
For staff training? Because what I would like to do is really start advertising positions, you know, that may be available, and the training and things like that in Albion, because I've spoken with several citizens who are interested in driving. especially the driving positions. But I don't know what training or whatever they may need, or if they have their CDL already. So just wanted to know what timelines are we looking at?
I would say from the time of application to the first day is probably 6 to 8 weeks. Maybe 4 to 6 weeks from application and then a couple of weeks of training on the road. If they are applying, if they are applying for a non-CDL position. So if most of our BC Go or door-to-door style service is 99% non-CDL. So all they would need is a chauffeur's license, which doesn't require like a skills test like the CDL does. If they're applying for a CDL position, that is several weeks depending on the individual and how quickly they pick up some of the CDL training, and then they have to take the test. So somebody applying for the CDL job, once after their first day, it's probably 6 to 12 weeks, depending on the individual, of training.
Okay. And when do you think we will be able to start formally advertising positions?
So I would encourage people to apply to Battle Creek Transit or Marshall Dial-A-Ride right now. I don't believe the TAC intends to hire drivers right away, but in the meantime, they could, I'm going to say, get in on the ground floor and come to Battle Creek Transit or Marshall Dial-A-Ride, receive the same training and essentially the same job. They would just work for Battle Creek Transit, City of Battle Creek, or City of Marshall in the meantime until that transition over to the TAC happened. So somebody could go online and apply today, and we would very much appreciate that.
Okay. Yeah, just want to get some flyers out, and I sent you a sample that we would like to share with the Chamber of Commerce and City Hall and EDC and, some of the local areas.
Yeah, I think the more recruiting we can do, the better. The more drivers we're able to hire now, because we currently have a shortage of Battle Creek Transit, the more drivers we're able to hire now, the faster we'll be able to ramp up service in the future.
Okay. So will you be able to give me some flyers to hand out places like Eggs and Issues and other gatherings in the community?
Yeah, we have a flyer already made for recruiting at Battle Creek Transit. We could put something together for Marshall Dial-A-Ride and send those your way.
Okay, let's talk.
Okay.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Also, Vivian, on the City of Marshall website, if they go to Human Resources, I believe the driver, it's listed there, the request, the application and stuff like that. So that's, they can go there direct and apply. Okay.
Thank you.
Any other questions for Mallory on starting up the Albion service?
It's exciting. Thank you.
Very exciting.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you.
Right. I don't see any other new business. So public comments on non-agenda items. Doug, Eric, you're usual too, so. No, not today. Okay. Board and Executive Director comments. We'll start off with communications to the board. I have one at our next meeting. The Marshall Chamber, or MEDA, would like to take a picture of us here at 9 o'clock of the board with their ambassadors. Then that's put in the paper since we are a new member of the Marshall Chamber. So if you think about that, our next meeting at 9 o'clock, I believe that's April 8th. So we're your finest. No, just joking. Just other comments or from the board, communications from the board?
Just thanks. I had shared, I think, with the chair, a card of an individual from Albion who was interested in getting some, having input into eventually where we have stops. So I provided the chair for consideration. I know some folks possibly might have reached out just to make contact, so that way when we have that time frame of get an input from the community about where to place some stops, we've got some communication ready, and they're willing and able to contribute to that conversation. So just wanted to say that out loud, that received it, passed it through the appropriate chains, and I know contact has been made to be able to respond to that community question.
Eric and or Vivian, I guess I'll offer you another chance to, if you'd like to say anything.
Yes, I would like to say something in terms of one of our first gatherings will be on April 17th. And Mallory and I talked, but I don't know if we had the date. But on April 17th at 6 o'clock, I would like to invite someone from TACC to come to a town hall meeting that I'm having. Actually, it's a precinct meeting that I'm having at the high school. And I will get other information out to you. But if you can put the 17th, 6 o'clock at Marshall Opportunity School, we will have a chance to kind of roll it out in the Albion community.
Okay.
And Mallory or Eric or Tom, I would like for someone else to come and share information, as a member of the board, rather than me doing everything.
I might be able, I have to do one at noon for Marshall Manufacturing that day, so I'll check my calendar and let you know for sure.
Okay, thank you. I'll be reaching out again before that date, but that is very important, and I want someone to be there with me.
Mr. Chair, do you have any comments?
No, none at this time.
That's a first. Okay. Legislative any other comments from the board? Okay. Legislative update. I'm not sure who is going to do that.
I'll share, and then I'll turn it over to Vivian because she attended with us. But I shared that we were headed to the state capitol. Was it last week, the week before? Vivian joined us along with Matt and two members from ATU, our local union. We met with state legislators and from each of our different municipalities and educated them on what we're doing here in Calhoun County. And I speak to it often, but I think when legislators and decision makers hear the term public transit, they think of big buses in big cities. And so we're just reminding them that public transit is in small communities. It's small minivans, it's paratransit service for seniors and people with disabilities. And, I think our message was pretty well received while we were there. There was more than 200 of us altogether from all around the state. Some agencies brought their buses to park outside the Capitol and put on display. The Michigan Public Transit Association Facebook page and website has some photos from the day and some updates. But ultimately, what we were sharing with legislators and lawmakers is that local bus operating assistance, which comes out of the state comprehensive transportation fund, the CTF, is what keeps us rolling. And without an increase to the local bus operating assistance line item within the CTF, we're not able to expand services. And in fact, many agencies are having to cut service. So as the state is considering new ways of funding road repairs and infrastructure, we're making sure that transit is held harmless and that funds aren't taken from public transit in order to improve the roads, or that funding isn't changed the way it goes through a formula. So right now, all of your, transportation related taxes, so like gas tax, for example, goes to a formula program and transit gets a percentage of that formula. if they were to change that formula or remove transit from that formula, that would be detrimental to us. As I think you all recognize or starting to learn from our budget presentations that roughly 30% of our funding revenue is made from that pot. So a change to that pot could be significant for us. Vivian, is there anything you wanted to add about our visit?
Yes, it was. I think it was impactful because it was new information for many of the legislators and their aides, especially their aides. So at least the message was received. Hopefully, they listened and will, take what was said into consideration. We did not get a lot of pushback, but there were some concerns in terms of communities funding their own transportation system or taking care of their own problems rather than depending on the government and the state. So there are some concerns, and this is not the time to lay down and assume that everyone is going to be in the favor of the bills. We have to be very vigilant in terms of what is happening because some of it may not be in our best interest. So we need to go and educate and re-educate and make appeals to for the support, for public transportation. But it was a good day. It was a good day. I think we were heard and we were seen, in terms of public transportation in Michigan.
What two legislators did you meet with?
We met with Leitner, Lindsay, and who else?
Starts with an S. And he has a very small portion in the Albion area or Calhoun County.
Yes, we stopped into Representative Frisbee's office and he wasn't available, but we left some information and obviously he's local. He knows us. So some follow-up conversations were had with him, but altogether we met with 3 and then followed up with Frisbee.
Right.
Thank you.
And I've also spoken with Frisbee when he was in Albion, about the need for public transportation and to ask for his support.
Any questions for those two that attended? Okay. Just a reminder, our next meeting's April 8th. And then we added a closed session. So I would need to have a motion. I'm trying to figure out what order we want to do this. Janesha, since you're representing Valkyrie Commission, Lee, maybe you can help me through this. If you come up to the mic, if you would. This is Lee Schultz from Miller Johnson.
I'm aware already.
Good morning. Hi. Yes.
Maybe just for the public of.
Sure, because we're going to go into closed session to discuss strategy related to collective bargaining. And right now, the agreement is between the city and the ATU. And because you sit on the city commission, we think it's probably appropriate for you to not be involved in that discussion. So I think we would ask that you would recuse yourself from the closed session that we're going to go into for that conversation.
Do we, typically we've, not at this board, but other councils, we voted to allow that recusal, or do we need to do that?
I don't think you need to do that. I think you just do the motion to go into closed session and then we go into closed session and only those that go into closed session join and you would not come in.
So you get to go home early or go back to school. So I need a motion to go into closed session. So
To go into closed session pursuant to Section 8C of the Open Meetings Act for strategy related to negotiation of a collective bargaining agreement.
second, please. Okay, Matt, we need a roll call vote, please.
I'm Lucas.
Yes.
Andy Evans.
Yes.
John Waddle.
Yes.
Tom Tucker.
Yes. No, she's recused herself. So, okay, we have go into closed session. We don't intend to have any action after, but you're welcome to stay. I believe the room across the hall is open, the hall, and so the board will stay and get out of here, Doug. Okay, and we're going to pause the recording. Okay, we are coming out of closed session, came out at about 10:21 by motion. So at this time, is there anything else that the board wants to discuss or anything we missed earlier that? And I guess I'll take a motion to adjourn. Or I guess I could just adjourn. So I'm going to just adjourn. So thank you.